Donald Trump was all over the campaign trail. There's gonna be no tax on this, there's gonna be no tax on that. After saying that Democrats are trying to give goodies and gifts to voters, he's like, okay, I want waiters to vote for me, I want seniors. And that's what he did. And so one of those was no tax on Social Security, which sounds good maybe. It's like, these are people often on very limited incomes, so maybe that's a good thing. Yeah, so they're doing something. It's not working out quite that way. Let's flash back to the campaign first and see how he talked about this particular topic.
In the coming weeks and months, we will pass the largest tax cuts in American history, and that will include no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on Social Security. We're going to stop it. And no tax on Social Security benefits for our great seniors.
Okay, so that's what he says over and over and over. No tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, because what he doesn't want to say is no tax on corporations. No tax on estates being left behind by billionaires. Effectively, no tax on the wealthy, because the income tax is basically nothing, and the tax they pay on their the returns of their investments is even lower. That's what they're doing, but that sounds really bad to focus on. So yeah, no tax on tips for the person making $30,000 and might not even end up paying any tax on the tips. I'll pretend that that's what my focus is, and I say that as a many year long waiter, bartender, busboy, and all of that. That was all a lie. Turns out the Social Security part was a lie too, because when you say no tax on Social Security, it sounds like all the benefit you get from Social Security will be tax-free. That's not what they're doing literally at all. So here he's lying to grandma and he's lying to grandpa. What they're doing is giving a mere fraction of the financial benefit that they've been promising since last year, that they arguably got elected on. Instead of making Social Security benefits tax-free, House Republicans have now included in their spending and tax cut plan a $4,000 tax deduction for seniors, which translates into an actual cash benefit of less than $500 for most retirees. Now, more well-off retirees, those who get bigger Social Security payments because they had high income jobs for many years and paid into a lot, would have benefited the most from it actually being tax-free. But again, that's not the way it works. As much as a little bit over $14,000 for those in the highest tax bracket, and receiving $45,000 a year in Social Security payments. That's the sort of class we're talking about. Even those with total incomes of $100,000, with $45,000 from Social Security, $55,000 from other retirement accounts, they would have benefited over $8,000 if he did no taxes on Social Security. But again, he's not. So what does it look like under what they're actually doing? Under the current plan, the benefits for these better off retirees would be less than $1,500 and just $880, while moderate income retirees would benefit about $480. The only retirees who could possibly benefit more from the way they're gonna do it would be those who collect little or nothing from Social Security to begin with. So it was debate and switch. It's a con, it's a scam, like everything. And look, I guess, for some elderly people, the $480 is better than nothing, I suppose. But what they pay in exchange for the $480 is voting in a guy who's going to absolutely wreck Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, bankrupt the country, hand trillions of dollars away to the wealthy. So this is just another scam to add to the long list of scams. And again, it's gonna hit many MAGA people. Sharon, what do you think about this one?
The devil's in the details, of course. So if you don't know any better, it's like, for example, I've been going through my homeowner's policy. I'd hire someone who's an expert to say, hey, why is this so much? Why is it going up so much? Oh, well, you're paying 20% more in commission. And oh yeah, the coverages that you think you have, full replacement value and this, that, you don't. There's this little trick. It's like, again, devil's in the details. So he goes out there and people cheer, yeah, they cheer him on and they're like, they're good. And it's all a lie. He's pushing grandma down an escalator in her wheelchair, okay? That's what he's doing, okay? Grandpa walks by and he sticks out his foot and trips him. That's what's happening, okay? You said tax-free, okay? That's what you said, tips, all of it. And what you're doing is wrecking the system and screwing us over. It's unconscionable unless you're a derelict, unless that's what you believe in, and it's what they believe in. So yeah.
Yeah, look, I am not going to come and say that nobody learns anything. I have to constantly remember that people do. People, voted Trump in, and then the first time, and then by the end of the 4 years, they got rid of him. Like they can learn. His approval rating goes down. That represents that people do pay attention. They do understand what's happening. They do see the news and everything. But like, I wish that the learning added up over time. Like the Republicans always tell these exact same lies. It's always just about delivering for the rich. And I don't know how many more of these cycles I have in me to report. I don't know if I have it if JD Vance becomes president or if it's barren in 12 years or whatever. I don't know. But if they do, it's gonna be the exact same thing. It's gonna be these lies to get into office, to just hand it over to the Jeff Bezoses of the world. That's all that they do. And I don't understand why people can't understand that. I mean, I do. Most media don't acknowledge it. They might critique, like they might do this story and critique like, hey, it turns out, and probably not, but they might. But what they're not going to do is tell the meta story of the cyclical lies of Republican administrations about how they use identity politics to get in, to transfer wealth from working Americans to the wealthy. That's the story of America, largely from the very beginning. And it's a story that doesn't often get told by the people with the biggest audiences. But anyway, there is still a little bit of back and forth going on over the passage of this bill. So why don't we turn now to that conflict? Donald Trump is obviously desperate to pass his big, beautiful bill because he needs, Congress to do something. It can't just all be executive orders. And he has to pay back the wealthy who bought him during the last election. And so to get it done, he's feuding with the limited number of Republican holdouts who are still either saying or implying that they might be a no vote. So he's putting pressure on them. He's going and seeing them. He's attacking them on social media. Will it work? Remains to be seen. It generally has over the past few months. But for now, we do have this fight. And so Thomas Massie has been one who's clashed with Trump a number of times. Trump has been attacking him for literally years at this point. And Massie says that he's worried about this bill increasing the deficit, which, and I hope Carolyn Leavitt is listening, it will. That's what it's gonna do. Stop lying about that. So anyway, here is Thomas Massie on this bill.
Over here, the people in favor of this bill say that under the policies of this bill, we're going to add $20 trillion to debt over the next 10 years, which is $3.5 to $5 trillion more than would have been added otherwise.
This is deficit neutral.
Yeah, that's a joke.
I'm a bigger fiscal hawk. There's nobody like me as a fiscal hawk.
Massie said it adds more deficit than Biden did. This bill kind of.
Because we have to fix the country.
Do you think that Thomas Massie is correct in saying that this is adding Biden?
No, I don't think Thomas Massie understands government. I think he's a grandstander, frankly. He'll probably vote. We don't even talk to him much. I think he should be voted out of office.
Okay, so look, I like the idea of a president who's, willing to exert power. Unfortunately, it's to the worst ends with Donald Trump. So nobody's a bigger fiscal hawk than Trump, who added over $8 trillion to the national debt the first time around after saying he would entirely clear the national debt. We would not have a debt anymore. Instead, he added $8 trillion to it. He's gonna do even more this time around. Massive hawk. We'll talk about Golden Dome in a bit. 150 billion more for the military, God knows how much for the border, just spending everywhere. Now, I'm not gonna imply it's the same as Democratic spending. It's not. This won't benefit the American people literally at all. So it is fundamentally different. But when pushed on the fact that he's gonna add more to the deficit than Biden, he said, well, we have to fix America by cutting the corporate tax rate. I do constantly hear people, they come up to me every day saying that this country will never be what it could be until the corporate tax rate is 15%. So anyway, all that's lies, all of that is, again, it's the grandstanding he implies that Thomas Massie is doing. But it isn't just Massie that he's clashing with. Mike Lawler is another one. This is over the SALT thing. And so why don't we get into that part of the fight?
The president reportedly said to you with regard to this, I know your district better than you do. If you lose because of SALT, you were going to lose anyway. What do you say to those 2 points?
Well, respectfully to the president, I've won 3 times in 2-to-1 Democratic districts because I know what the issues are impacting my district.
Did he say that to you, Congressman? Is that an accurate quote?
It is, and here's the truth. I'm one of only 3 Republicans that have won in a district that Kamala Harris won. So the fact is, I know my district very well, and there's a reason why I've been successful.
I mean, that's a pretty good counterpoint that he was able to win in a district that Harris won. It's a good point to Mike Lawler and to the people of that district. Vote him out next time, please. We really need to take back the House, but that's a good point. And look, there's very big disagreement about this whole SALT thing, but he has to deliver for his donors locally who want that deduction cap to be raised. Trump is less worried about that, although I think he's fine with it being raised in the end. He's more focused on the massive quantity, the trillions of dollars they're giving away. But anyway, I'd love to give you more, like a whole montage of Republicans clashing with him, but there really aren't that many, which is why at this point I don't have a lot of confidence that this bill is gonna be stopped. I just don't see that happening. But Sharon, do you disagree?
No. I don't. I mean, he did almost walk into that pillar and knock himself out, okay, as he was leaving. That could halt this thing or at least slow the pace. But no, you're right. We don't agree with even the people who are speaking out against him for their reasoning. But look, you had Mike Johnson standing there looking like a schoolgirl blushing with his head down. I don't know really what his internal feelings are, but he looks like a fool. Why don't these people, when Trump says, I think they should vote him out, and he plays the same old thing, I'm gonna primary you, and this and that and the other thing, he hasn't been that successful with that. So can't they, isn't there hope? Can't we I don't wanna say kidnap them, but pay for some retreat where they're secretly there and they get together and we give him a blueprint. He's not as powerful as you think. I mean, he has captured the court. Alina Habba is the US attorney in New Jersey. I mean, there's a lot more going on this time around, but it boggles my mind. And what they get upset about boggles my mind. Okay, after all that, this is your line in the sand. But okay.
Yeah, we've been waiting for 70 years for them to stand up to Trump. I don't think it's gonna, here's how it could happen potentially is maybe the midterms are so utterly devastating. They get swept out of the House. They get swept out of the Senate. It's just a shellac and like you've never seen. And now he's very much a lame duck. Maybe then. I don't even think then.
They're getting yelled at in their own districts, like shouted down.
I know
are getting like tased
more than you do.
Right.
Yeah, no, dude.
And they're still not. I mean, come on. They can't go home, John.
I'm glad, by the way, we'll end on this. I'm glad that you mentioned that the walk into the wall or whatever. Just I feel like this stuff should start to maybe create a narrative, add to a narrative that should be there, but for some reason isn't. Anyway, we'll keep track of that.